total surprise. Revelation about Joe Biden leaves Donald Trump stunned. In an unexpected blow to former President Donald Trump, a revelation about his successor, Joe Biden, has left him completely stunned. The surprising news caught Trump off guard, shedding new light on the political landscape of the United States. The revelation about Biden, whose details are beginning to emerge, represents a dramatic twist in the country's political narrative. For Trump, accustomed to dominating the headlines and leading the news cycle, this surprise is a reminder of how politics can be unpredictable and full of twists and turns. See everything now.
Well, the presidential campaign came to New York City tonight. In fact, it's across the street from here at Radio City Music Hall, where the single biggest fundraiser of the presidential campaign took place tonight, with 3 presidents on stage: Biden, Obama, and Clinton. The event shows the unity of the Democratic Party, not just the Democratic Party today, but the Democratic Party of the last 30 years, as it was led by President Bill Clinton, then President Barack Obama, and now President Joe Biden. A similar gathering on the Republican side of the presidential campaign is impossible, because the Republican Party is not unified. The Republican Party has been shattered by Donald Trump. And so there will be no Trump fundraising event or campaign event with the one living former Republican president, George W. Bush, and none of the living former Republican vice presidents will be appearing at Trump rallies. Dan Quayle is 77 years old, living in Arizona, and commands no following in the Republican Party. Dick Cheney is 83 years old and is one of the leaders of Republicans against Trump, as is his daughter, Liz Cheney, who yesterday described what a second Trump presidency could be like.
It's important to recognize, for example, what it would mean to have a president who refused to abide by the rulings of our courts. And when, you have a situation where the reason that our courts have the power that they do and that they have to have under our Constitution is because the chief executive enforces their rulings. The courts can't enforce their own rulings. And all you have to do is listen to what Donald Trump says, look at the filings that his lawyers have made in the immunity case and others. The moment that the court rules in a way he disagrees with, he will just ignore it. He'll refuse to abide by it.
Donald Trump's own vice president, Mike Pence, has announced that he does not support Donald Trump for president. Now, just imagine the political equivalent in the Democratic Party. Just imagine if Joe Biden's former running mate, Barack Obama, was opposing Joe Biden's reelection. It is inconceivable, because the Democratic Party is fundamentally sane, and the Republican Party has been lost to Trumpian madness, to the point that Mike Pence refusing to endorse Donald Trump is now considered perfectly normal in Trump world. The unique ability of the Democratic Party to put 3 presidents on stage together in Radio City Music Hall, the largest indoor theater in the world, with seats for 6,013 people, means that the sold-out event that the Democratic Party ran tonight means that the Biden-Harris campaign have the most powerful fundraising operation in the history of American politics. That sold-out event raised more than $25 million, which is more than the Trump campaign raised in the entire month of February. That's right, the Biden-Harris campaign in 2 hours tonight raised more money than the Trump campaign raised for an entire month. And that means that in August, September, and October, when the battleground states are flooded with television commercials for the campaigns, the Biden-Harris campaign will have a tremendous advantage. Those television advertising campaigns are aimed at undecided voters and swing voters, voters who could go either way on Election Day. It takes massive amounts of money in TV advertising to reach those voters, because those voters do not watch programs like this. They do not watch cable news. They generally do not read any newspaper articles about politics or government. Those voters know as much about politics and government as I know about golf. And so most of them have no idea how much Joe Biden has helped people of all ages with student debt. Those voters don't know about 82-year-old Karen Engstrom, who had her student debt forgiven. She took out 2 student loans, one for $30,000 and another for $45,000. And over time, with interest, those loans grew to a total of $175,000. She said, quote, "It was a burden. I couldn't think of it all the time. It was just there in the background. I thought it would be forgiven when I died." Joe Biden erased that debt for that 82-year-old woman. That's the kind of story that can be told in a 30-second TV commercial. The voters who will be informed by those commercials in the last weeks of the campaign don't yet know that Joe Biden has capped the price of insulin for diabetes patients. Those voters don't know about so many of the Biden accomplishments that can be easily summarized in 30-second commercials. But by the end of October, with the Biden-Harris campaign outspending the Trump campaign on TV advertising in the battleground states, many more voters will know about those Biden accomplishments than know about them tonight. That's why fundraising is so important in this presidential campaign, and Donald Trump is losing very, very badly in the fundraising race. According to the New York Times review of federal records, Donald Trump has spent $100 million of campaign money on legal fees for Donald Trump, averaging, quote, more than $90,000 a day in legal-related costs for more than 3 years. None of it paid for with his own money. Instead, the former president has relied almost entirely on donations made in an attempt to fight the results of the 2020 election. Today, the Biden-Harris campaign posted this new ad.
With the president visiting 8 swing states in just 18 days, throughout the month, Biden has crisscrossed the country. Visiting the Southwest, the Blue Wall, and the South. His campaign stops have focused on border security, reproductive rights, lowering health care and housing costs, as well as celebrating CHIPS and Science Act investments.
Before tonight's fundraiser, the 3 presidents recorded a podcast with hosts Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes, who became the first podcasters in history to have 3 presidents as guests at the same time.